Hello everyone. I'm so happy that there are so many people here today. On behalf of the Berlinale Talents team, I want to welcome you to this session. It's called Shortcuts, and we're going to focus on the short film. So we have amazing experts here today, but I'll leave the introduction to our wonderful moderator. This is Ben Gibson.
I don't know if, oh yes, it does work. Good afternoon. So yes, I hope we're going to be able to say quite a lot about short films and short film conception and production and taste and markets and festivals and what the hell we're all doing in the short film environment. And if we wanted to do that, I don't see how we could ever have a better panel because you've got the people who are they all know each other very intimately. They've been all talking for the last half hour because they spend a lot of time in Tampere and Clermont-Ferrand and the same bars talking about everything that's happening in short film culture. So we're going to try and get you into their conversation about what's happening in that culture because we've got an incredible amount of expertise in the room. So I've got on my right Laurent Crouzeix, who's the festival director of Clermont-Ferrand, and who organizes the co-production forum there on the online platform that they're generating. On my immediate right, Jan Naszewski from New Europe Film Sales, which is a very pioneering sales company which is dealing with shorts based in Poland. On my left, Jukka-Pekka Laakso, who is the director of the Tampere Film Festival, which is, along with Clermont, been one of the most famous places of good taste in short filmmaking in European cinema, in the world cinema for a very long time. And he's the festival director. He runs something called the Tampere Film Center, which we're going to find maybe something about how that works as well. And then on his left, Sabine Brantus, who has worked for 17 years at ARTE, but the last 6 years she's been editing and created the Kurzschluss strand of short films there. And as we know, that ARTE, in a way, is the system that's put interesting short film into the television environment in Europe in a pioneering way. So it's a lot about innovation and pioneering and finding places for short film. And I am your moderator, but I also, incidentally, ran the BFI production board throughout of the 1990s and commissioned many and produced many short films. And I've just spent 12 years running the London Film School, which is producing 180 short films a year. So I might occasionally just slightly change my hat over and say something as well, if everybody feels cool about that. So we're going to get to some big questions, but first of all, I just want to give you a quick, you know what it's like with panels. You need a portrait of the panel members and what they're all about and their histories. And we'll try not to do it in a way that takes over the whole session, because then we'll get a chance to talk. By the way, just to explain the structure of today's session, we're going to talk in this formal way, with you being the audience for a while, and we're going to show you some clips and discuss things. And then there's going to be a version of a Q&A in a wonderful, inventive and immersive and democratic Berlinale Talents way, in which we get these cardboard boxes that you see over there, and then we create a few kind of local groups and press conferences, and you all get a box and you can sit with these guys and you can ask all of your supplementary questions, and we bring you some lovely, probably water, I'm afraid, not beer. We'll also have Bettina Schwartz is here from the European Film Academy, which is doing important work with short films, and she's going to meet with everybody and some other people who are in the audience. So we'll have a kind of what you used to call in California in the 1960s a teach-in instead of a Q&A. So I just want to start then by introducing Laurent and talking about Clermont. I'm going to ask you some questions about Clermont in a minute, but first of all, let's bathe our eyes in the Clermont-Ferrand trailer for a couple of minutes, please. Thank you. So whenever anyone says to me, I want to go to a festival, I like grade A festivals and glamorous cities, but really I want to go to a festival where lots of people who are interested in short films are going, and where producers go, and people who buy short films actually show up to the screenings. I say, well, yes, you'll be going to Clermont-Ferrand then, but it isn't that easy to get into Clermont-Ferrand for that reason. But apart from the fact that there are lots of things in French film culture which are much more sophisticated than anybody else can imagine, because of the amount of intelligence that's gone into creating a public sector for the audiovisual, which is extraordinary. If you think not just your festival, but Angers and Poitiers and so on. But there is an incredible history of Clermont-Ferrand because it's become the prime space in the world. Could you say something about how long that's taken and why you think it's, in terms of its principles and its taste, how it became the world's great festival of short films?
Well, it's a story that was built over years and really step by step, bit by bit. It started in '79 as part of a film club at the university. So there was no business plan or market study or anything of the sort. I think it's in a tradition of, I know that festivals play a more and more important role in what we call the industry. I've been working in festivals for 20 years. There's still no word in French for the short film industry. So I guess it's more part of cultural events, bringing people together around something that might create some social link. And it started this way. It started at a time, I guess, where short films were being made, finding very little places where they could meet an audience. Television was at the time not screening shorts. They were removed from cinemas. So yes, festivals took over this part of bringing filmmakers together as well. And I guess it was very important for them to no longer feel isolated, I guess. So nowadays it's different. You have a lot of initiatives that are great, like this Berlinale Talents and other talent pools and labs and script writing workshops, and where you can actually apply for shorts. But at the time, you were just making your short with a couple of friends or working on a film set, knowing people in various positions that could help. And that was very important, to have a place where people could meet. And then the response from the audience helped securing a more festival format as well, and also to show that there was interest in this kind of production. So yes, it grew bit by bit, I guess. It was 1,000 people who turned up in '79, and in '95 it was over 100,000 that turned up. So I guess it has a lot to do also with the place. It's not just film buffs. It's kind of it's not a city that is much in the spotlight. It's away from the major big cities. So I think it was a way also for people to, there was a strong appropriation of this event that would bring filmmakers from all over the world as well, and that would sort of open, I guess, windows on creativity and stories that were coming from all over the place. Shorts being very good to also, I guess, not being formatted, being different from what you see on television, not having the same commercial pressure that feature films have to be released in cinemas. So I guess there's a sense of freedom, there's a sense of being really in touch with the world, or being able to push limits and use your wildest imagination with animation shorts, for instance. So I guess this has all contributed to building it. The industry part was started with just one table and two televisions and VHS players, and making phone calls saying to people, you should come to Clermont-Ferrand in the middle of winter to see some short films. They are great, and it built up again bit by bit.
Great, thank you. I mean, later on we're going to start to talk about sort of aesthetic priorities and also what's happening in the festival circuit and how short films go around the festival circuit. But that's, for the moment, that's a great introduction. So on my right now, Jan Naszewski is from Poland and has a film actually in the Berlinale Forum, don't you, Ma? And you, in addition to running your sales agency, there's a local festival, the T-Mobile New Horizons, which you run. There's an association with sales companies. Before we show the clip, and I'm going to ask you to think about the question while we show the clip, maybe that's the best way. I mean, there's an association with sales companies beginning to work in short film, which is it's so hard for them to earn any money in commissions that then they ask you for 75% of the revenue, and you know that it's a sort of crazy business. And I'm going to ask you to speak out in favor of the idea that it can work, that you can have a world sales agent for your short film and they can actually be your cultural partner, but only after we've seen this clip. This clip is from a film called The Last Bus, and it's a 3-minute clip. Thanks. That was wonderful. I'm rather upset not to see the end of that. How much more is there?
Another 12 minutes or so.
12 minutes. And tell us about, I mean, is that a film which is from this year?
3 years old, I think.
It's 3 years old. I mean, it's obviously an example of a really fascinating piece of filmmaking, but it's also an example of something that you're selling and that you've been able to create a marketplace for.
Well, this is where that film, for me, is a perfect representation of why it makes sense for somebody to work with short films. On the commercial side, let's say, you could never make that film in a feature length. Nobody would finance that, and it would be just too much of a risk. So that means that working with short films just allows you to do so much more creatively. This is where, if people ask me why do I still do it, or we sell feature films as well, and people just say, why don't you just, you've done your stuff, you've done your kind of film sales education with the shorts, why do you keep doing it? It's just, I could never get a film like that if it was 90 minutes, because they're just not there. And to answer your question, we see ourselves as partners in this whole process, and for me it's also, yes, you can make some money in short films. You cannot make a living out of short films, probably, unless it's something that wins loads of awards that keeps you going for a couple of years and then until you make the next one. But on my sort of commercial side, this is something that for us, actually, we started as a short film sales agency. We expanded into features 3 years ago, and that was a way of learning, a way of getting into the business without having the risk of working with features, which is very expensive in terms of traveling, in terms of marketing spend, in terms of working hours that you have to put into it. But at the same time, the shorts is very interesting for spotting talents, which we can also develop then later on with. So, for example, last year we had the first guy whose short films we were selling. We had his first film, then second short film, and then his debut feature we were selling as well. So for us, it's also an interesting way of being the first one who spots the talent, building a relationship with him and his producer, and then being able to be the first one whom he trusts for the feature world, in the feature world. And also, we can get access as a small company coming from Poland. I can never get access to those really big names and big production companies, at least not yet, with the feature films. But in the shorts, we work with the best producers from the UK, from Sweden, from Norway, people that have competition films here in Cannes. We work with Ruben Östlund, who had 3 films in Cannes already, and he did Tourist, Force Majeure, and we work with his shorts. So it's just the fact that you give someone time and they respect it quite a lot, and they trust you with a beautiful content, and you can work with great talents. And the best thing about short films as well is that if you get into features and you forget about this short film world, a lot of the time A lot of your life is just waiting. You're waiting for the money, you're waiting for the script, you're waiting for decisions. So between one feature film and the next one, it's going to be like 3, 4, 5 years. And what do you do in the meantime? You know, if you have opportunities to make a short film in the meantime, that is great for us. Because, for example, like Ruben, he did 2 feature films, and then he wanted to try out a really interesting, formally interesting technique for his next feature film. So they applied for a short film fund. They made a short film called Incident by a Bank, which used this technique. It won the Golden Bear. We've sold it to, I don't think, 10 countries or so. And he was able to kind of practice creatively something, and at the same time created a very kind of standalone work of art, I would say.
It is a great example of all the things you're saying. I want to get back to talking about, because, you know, arguably when people say there's no market in that, there is a market in short films, and it's a market in talent and innovation, and there are people who need to buy that and develop it. But I want to get back to that conversation, because I think that whole relationship between shorts and features and how you develop one while you're doing the other, I think is probably something that everyone here is quite interested in talking about. But I'm going to move for now to Jukka-Pekka Laakso from Tampere. Let's first of all see a clip. So we've got a clip from La Lampe au beurre de yak, the yak butter lamp, and then we'll talk after that. It's quite short, the clip, but here it comes. So I suppose if you think about what we've said about Clermont-Ferrand and its history, I say Tampere in a very particular way, and I suppose we'd mention Oberhausen, who are not here, who have kind of had a dominion over abstract and avant-garde short film. Tampere has an incredible reputation for its taste and its relationship to innovation over a long time as a short film festival, or as a short section. Could you say something about what you think is its ethos? Why has it become distinctive? What's uncompromising about Tampere?
Well, I think that sometimes when I really have to say it short, like when you talk to the press, because they only want sound bites nowadays, is I try to describe Tampere as a film festival where we are interested in the ethics and aesthetics of filmmaking, both worlds. So we are interested in what is happening in the art of filmmaking, the new innovations, also the technological innovations, but new ways of doing things. And for instance, the last bus that we saw a little part of actually won the Grand Prix in Tampere 3 years ago. So it was a very innovative film because, as you saw, it's something totally different. But I think that one of the things about Tampere is that we are interested in films about issues, about films that tell about the troubles, about the difficult things in the world. But we are mentioned to be like sometimes a political festival, especially in Finland. We have been accused during the years to be revolutionary, reactionary, whatever. Everybody has a grudge against us, I think, on all political sides. But we are proud of that, of course. But I think this is one of the things.
Proud of the reactionary bit, but the other part, yeah.
No, the thing is that I'm glad that we are claimed to be something that matters. So, but. And because we are not reactionary, we know that, but it was the old times in the 70s when it came from the far left that was different. And there is something, I think, that we live in the world of cinema, so, you know, you have the truth and you have the legend, but you always stick to the legend. Yes. And I think it is true, I believe it's true, but the idea of Tampere Film Festival was actually born in May 1968. And that is a time which, if you don't know what I mean, you better go and learn your history.
Hands up anyone who thinks May 68 is just another month in the 60s? No, everyone's got a kind of education about late 20th century radicalism.
Exactly. So I think that, and I said it when we had our 40th festival, was that the idea was born at that time, and we still believe that art and cinema should be part of the solution of the problems in the world and not part of the problem. And the world is not ready. It should be changed, it can be changed, and art is one of the things that can do the change in the world. So in that sense we are very serious. But then, of course, Tampere also has a reputation of being a place where people feel free, because we have this a way to make people remember us and to open up. Because in the beginning of the festival, all the competition directors who are there, we take them to this very traditional sauna, and we sort of philosophically tell them to take off their clothes. And actually
Philosophical
also,
way. Yeah.
Yes, because it's a philosophical way, but we actually want them to do it in reality too. So once you have been naked with other people, you build a familiarity for a few days that is something to do with our festival, and I think the atmosphere. So, but the main thing is philosophical, of course.
It's great. It's fantastic. I went to a conference once in Helsinki, where in the end we all went naked to a sauna, and some of the delegations actually just couldn't believe it and left the dinner. Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. I think it's sort of great. It's really exciting to hear that it's like, André Bazin is in the room with us. When we were just preparing for this session, I carelessly used the word movie to Jukka-Pekka, and immediately said, no, we have films, not movies. But that's great. And we're going to come back to lots of those things. I'm making notes. So just then to introduce, last but by no means least, what's happening around. Sabine Brantus is organizing the editing, what's happening with short films at ARTE, and has been doing that for 7 years, and has built up a program that's very distinctive and that has, I think, a really strong audience. Could you tell us how it started and how it's moving on, and how you do the political fighting for short films within ARTE? Oh, I'm sorry, and we have a trail. So let's have a trail first. While Sabine is thinking of the perfect answer to that question, you're going to see a trailer. So yeah, tell us a bit about the Strand and how it works and how it's developing.
Yeah. At the beginning, I want to excuse me for my English is not so good, but I will try to be clear. Yes, we showed all this example of film that you see on ARTE. We try, like in Clermont, like you, to show a very different horizon of film, animation, fiction, and we was very proud of this film because they are all, not the last one, but all the other was co-production. We help at the beginning, and last year it was amazing to film has a Grand Prix in Clermont-Ferrand, one Oscar with Monsieur Blo and the César with Mademoiselle Kiki. It was just amazing, and it's very important in ARTE for our boss to say it's important to show short film. There is not a lot of channel. I think in Germany we are the only one, perhaps with BR1 a little bit. In France you have Canal Plus and France Télévisions, but they fight like us, and we have always to explain how important is it to show a short film on television and not only on internet or on festival. And that's one of my part of my job. But I work with a great team who is in France, ARTE France, and in Germany it's public channel ZDF and ARD. They all buy and co-produce a little bit films for short films for the slot whose name is Kurzschluss, and in this slot we show about between 2 and 6 short films, and we have a report about Clermont-Ferrand. It was we have a thematic about that, or about last week we had sex and love, and we try to have some slot with one subject to help the people to see the different film in this way. And it's every Friday, it's very late, it's on midnight. We try to have it earlier, but they're afraid sometimes about the short film because there are some films who are very hard sometimes, and we don't want to have only mainstream films, so that's why they say, okay, do that, but on midnight. But you can see also this film, there is now a platform, a cinema platform, where the long and the short film are, and we are very, very proud for and happy for all the short filmmakers, because it's the first time that we show short film not only very late in the evening, but you can see it all the day.
Great, thank you very much. So I just want to try and get to some general questions, which I'm kind of going to ask everybody. You've got an audience here of people who, some of them made their first feature, they've done short films, they've been involved with short films. I'm aware of the fact that people have a lot of reasons for making short films, and some of them are very ambitious culturally, and some of them are quite aspirational industrially, and they all fall in different places. And apparently in every minute, there's 24 hours of material uploaded into YouTube. So short films, I mean, I don't know how many short films you see in your waking hours, but it must be mind-bogglingly impressive number of hours in order to find the material that you love. So in a way, you have a captive audience here for talking about what trends there are in short films and what kind of things you want to say about the culture of short films. So, if people are thinking, well, my producer tells me my short film should be less than 11 minutes long and it should have a punchline, or somebody says it should be a pilot of my feature or whatever, all those conversations that you're all having about why people make short films, I just want to ask you where you think the culture of short film making is going in all of those hours that you look at material and make whichever provocative remarks you want to make to all of these producers.
Yes, I think if there's one general trend is that you have to keep on fighting for shorts, and you will always have. You have to have a bit of a warrior spirit. So I think in terms of the culture surrounding shorts, I think it's very important. What you said, Jan, about being a partner is very important, and something that is true for everyone. Like television is good for everyone to show that there is interest in shorts. Places like Tampere or Clermont-Ferrand is good for television, for people in television who have to fight, because at every level there is always another priority. It's the same for you to find fun for your films. It's the same in television to promote space and to support space for shorts. It's the same with us from officials or the people who fund our festivals. There's always, a big sports stadium that needs to be built, and culture and short is difficult to support. So I would say that's the major trend. Then artistically or creatively,
Can I just say something
Yes,
to this?
of course.
It's actually, I wanted to maybe say that at the end, but since you've started, it's actually occurred to me while I was watching this and listening to you guys, that it's really quite fascinating how we are just one like ecosystem, you know, that like what you guys are doing is super important and it's a huge part of the film world, and then you like the big part of the cake, and then I'm like this tiny bit, and then Sabine, like, you know, like it's just filtering, like to kind of get to the best, you know. So for example, you know, you have to go through 5,000 films. I have to go through, you know, 200 that I see at your festivals. Then, you know, then I send you 20 or 10 a year, and you choose 2, and this is like, you know. So, but it's everybody. It doesn't mean that someone is. You have to say no a lot, and you hear no a lot yourself as well. Also in your position, and it doesn't mean that someone doesn't like you or someone, you know, that they are mean to you. It's just we all work within we have a space to kind of, it's like a little plot in your garden that you can only go from here to here, and you try to have the best kind of variety of vegetables in it. And ideally, I like the healthy ones, you know. And there's someone in the French politician who decided that ARTE should, you know, sometimes, you know, buy the best carrots that someone has grown and show them to the market, you know. And so that's like, and at the same time there was lots and lots of opportunities. That's where creativity comes from, and we just have to structure it in some way. So that's, you know, on a political kind of level. This is for me, it's kind of a fascinating thing, and it's yeah, I think it's quite impressive. And on the artistic, oh, you want to?
Yeah, I think that when it comes to trends, it's more and more difficult to put your finger that it's going into some direction, because cinema and for short film is going at the same time to many different directions, and let's say then it's individual choice or taste that you find interesting. And for me, actually, I wish you could ask this question after 4 weeks, because we have one session in Tampere which is called State of the Art. We have 3 different festivals and 3 different programs, and we try to define where short film is now and where it is moving. So that kind of trends, but from 3 different angles. And it's no secret what films there are on the program that is curated by Tampere, and I think that there's 2 different things, totally different things that I find interesting. The first one is something which is driven by technology, the ability of creating worlds with the tools of cinema that before were only accessible to George Lucas, but now, or big Hollywood studios, but now you can create worlds much easier with computers. And then it takes the imagination of the filmmaker to create new worlds or combine this, what we see, and something which is just imagination. And the other trend is, I think, a very personal level, where you actually need just you need a camera and maybe not even editing process, because one of the films in our examples of films is actually one-shot film done with a very cheap camera, handheld, actually in Berlin during a festival, and it's just a man with a camera talking and shooting what he sees. So a very personal way. But of course then, if you have all the possibility of technology, then it's something that overwhelms and you can impress even with let's say, the idea doesn't have to be that big, but when you make something which is personal, which is small, then of course the ideas have to be big. So it's 2 totally different ways. But for me also, what I think is what I would like to see more is get back to, in a way, narrative structure. not to be afraid of if you want to make an edgy film, you can work within a narrative structure, because there has been a trend of trying to make films that change and break the narrative, and taking this from, let's say, the other arts. But personally, this is my very personal opinion, is that it has been kind of a dead end, and still the narrative structure is the one that allows you to go to a lot of directions, to put your ideas inside, and then also capture the audience. So you can make it a lot of things. And what we have seen here now on this small screen, you on the big screen, is also one trend is forget the genre you are doing, because now exciting films, very often they look like a documentary, like The Butter Lamp. You start watching a documentary, then you realize that no, this is just fiction. And The Last Bus is sometimes it is categorized as animation, sometimes fiction. You don't know what it is, and so on. So,
and I don't really
no
care.
trends. Yeah.
And I don't really care which
exactly.
one.
I don't care either. It's categorizing. It's something that you sometimes you have to do, especially if you make documentaries. It's a set of rules. But again, we are talking about, I think, in festivals like in Clermont-Ferrand. And I must say, compliments to Jan. Jan is also, with his short films, I think, on the cutting edge. And ARTE production that we saw here, there was like Pride was actually a very, very normal narrative film, half an hour long, but it was brilliant film. Won the best fiction film in Tampere. So it's so many different trends. But the cutting edge is that it's so easy. You just have to be better than the others.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, that's what the note I'll make. Sabine?
I agree with what you say. Yes, it's. We want to be surprised. There's a lot of film, and we don't have time to see all this film. All the world writers send us a lot of film, but what I'm wondering is how many new way you find to make a film, and yes. I think it's what you say. We can be surprised and touched for very personal films, and it's your film. You want to tell this story, and I like you a narrative. There's a trend this last years to make a lot of unnarrative or destructuring film. Make before some narrative film, because it's not so easy to make these films. And on the other hand, with all the technology, like you say, it's amazing all what you can make, but I'm also surprised when I saw animation and filmmaker in animation who do as well today a film like Mademoiselle Kiki on need 4 years to do this film with very with painting, with very artisanal, what's the name, very artistic,
artisanal.
Yeah, and you think it's crazy. Today you can do that in another way. But yes, I think it's important to make this sort of film as well. I don't know if.
Thank you very much.
Can I maybe just final comment from the market point of view? There's two things. One is what Jukka-Pekka mentioned. It's actually two sides of the same coin. That on one hand, technology allows you to be very creative, kind of produce your ideas really quickly. For example, one of the coolest shots I've seen was made with a mobile phone, which was basically this old lady in Mexico going through this meadow, and then she gets to the railroad tracks, and then suddenly a train comes, and she takes out. Do you want to hold this? No, it's here. So she takes out lots of little bags with food, and then the train comes honestly 150 kilometers per hour, and she goes like, shh, 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 shh. And then there are people on the top of the train, and they catch the food, and the 10 seconds the train is gone, and she developed like she threw like 20 bags into the air, and that was it. The whole film was like 4 minutes long, and you're like, so how fresh of an idea is that? And it gives you a glimpse into a world where there's no way you could see that. You turn away, and it's so especially these days where everybody's on the mobile all the time, falling star, whatever, So and on the other hand, this is super fresh. And on the other hand, I always look for things that I think that I could experience that's something I've seen, like that I was sitting in a cafe and this conversation actually happened, or this thing happened, and it was. Whereas when I watch short films, like the amount of films about suicide, rape, incest, film school films that want to really try really hard to be very deep and very depressing because people want to show how mature they are. It's just so boring, Like I don't think I know many people that were, victims of incest and all that. But if you watch short films, you think that everybody has been. And honestly, that film is out for like in 2 minutes. You just, oh my god, another suicide film, and it's just, what do I care? It's there's no life. I don't see life there.
Yeah. Laurent, you want to add something?
Yeah, if I may, with what Jan said, which is right, and this thing about the narrative, I want also maybe to clear one misunderstanding. I'm sure you've heard in this place and in many other environments that it's important to make a film personal, because you're going to spend a lot of time on it. It has to be personal. But yes, it doesn't mean it has to be about yourself. It doesn't mean it has to be about connecting with your, in a deep way, to your inner self. It means it has to matter to you at several levels. You need to find material in your story that works at various levels. Probably it's best if it's very personal, that it's at the subconscious level. If you want to tackle something that is personal because it's something that you think you want to share, you have to really find the right distance with your subject, and also make sure that everyone involved on the team will be making the same film. And not just that you have great photography, not just that it looks good, but that this is exactly the photography that will carry the emotions, the momentum of the story. And same with sound and every aspect in it. It's not just about having this actor who is in this TV series so that you can have in the flyer that it's with award-winning actor so and so, but it has to be someone. You said also something about the relationship you develop. I guess making shorts are very important as well for the relationship you will, the creative relationship you will develop with an entire team. We tend to be in a world where authors and filmmakers are put more in the spotlight. The name of a film is attached to a filmmaker. We say that this filmmaker received an award. It's the film that received the award. It's an entire group of people who made this film, even if it happens sometimes that someone made it just with their cell phone. But yes, so it's just something I wanted to draw attention to as well.
I think that's very useful. I'm sure that in a way, all the things that we're saying are wasted on the audience, because you're people who are here who are making really extraordinary work, and that you're understanding all of those issues. But I feel in a moment we're going to go on to, I think, what a lot of people expect this session is about, which is, I've made a great film, how am I actually going to make it visible in the world with all of that stuff going on, and how do I do my 24 months on the festival circuit, and what do I need to do? And we'll get to that. But I mean, there's two things I want to say, although I'm not really a panel member, and that I want to sort of add in. I think that when you work in film school, just to follow up what Jan is saying, one of the things that happens to you is that you say, the thing about this script is it's based on an idea which I don't really accept. And the idea is that if I hurt my thumb, that would be unfortunate. And if I broke my arm, that would be terrible. And if I lost my arm, that would be devastating. And if I was dead, that would be important. And so what it means is that out of my insecurity as a filmmaker, I won't create the scale of importance out of my sense of people being in the world and having experiences in the world who I introduce you to. I will simply say, I will refer to something. That person is dead. Oh my God. And they've been victim of incest. Oh Christ. So even if you don't like my film, this is very important. And this is one of the most alienating things, because what you're looking for is something where a relationship to lived experience, using cinema in order to talk about the experiential world or deeper truths about the world, is something you can glimpse by watching the movie. And so that's a great struggle in those kind of environments to get that. When people honestly just want to make a film that looks like a film, the trouble with films that look like a film is they're not necessarily about experience. But yeah, so I'm going to witter on. I'm not going to witter on because I'm chairing the session, sorry. So we've talked a bit about the trends. I just want to say, so these people have made a great movie, film, sorry, and now they need to get into. They're reading all the deadline lists, and they're saying, okay, where am I going into? Obviously, we've got two festivals represented here, but in the 24 months where FIFA, where the producers' system says that you have 24 months on the festival circuit and so on, can you just talk about your experience of, in all cases, of what are good examples of how to get your film visible and to build? Because a lot of people, what they're doing is building relationships, as you were saying, with producers. So they're doing a short film with the producer and then making a feature with that producer as a way of working together, rather than moving between. They don't imagine that producers can make money out of short films because they understand that that market is for talent and talent development. But while they're doing all of that, they're going to think about, okay, how can we get this a maximum kind of exposure? And there are lots of people doing things out there, like, for instance, saying, oh, well, I need the oxygen of publicity, and so I will give my film free. I will upload it onto a website so that I get a maximum number of hits. So I'll go in that world. So just think about people who at the beginning of that process have made a film that needs to have that. What's your advice to them about how to use that 24 months in a maximum way around the festival circuit and around distribution?
I would say also that probably these 24 months has reduced to 12 to 18 months now. Yeah. It's a shorter span that you have to show your film and meet audiences in festivals. I guess it depends a lot also in which position you are with your film. If you self-funded it or produced it with a lot of goodwill, little finances, but you're a filmmaker very much on his or her own, or if you're a producer, I guess if you're a filmmaker, you need to be a good listener as well, make your research, get feedback from people. In Clermont-Ferrand, you have to make the difference also between the big name festivals who have a short sections, but we'll have maybe 10 films, 12 films, 15 films, and short film festivals. While in Clermont-Ferrand, you will have 170 films in competition in total. In the official selection, it will be 260. Overall, it's 460 short films that are screened, that were screened last week in Clermont-Ferrand. So there can be. It's not just about getting the Grand Prix or being in competition. You can have your film there maybe in different way. It's true for many festivals. So probably also behind these 460 films, that means there are 460 teams. Probably there are some people you know. And if some of them went there, get their feedback. If someone got great impressions or bad impressions, double check the information with someone else. And yeah, try to get a feeling about what kind of platform was it. Was it an audience festival? Was it an industry festival? In Clermont, we have the market as well. we created this space where, independently from what we bring to our audience, that only us have a good knowledge of, we created this space called The Market, where everything that is submitted is available through a video library that is extended for 9 months through private access. And this reaches out to, of course, all the buyers, all the distributors who want to get some good work done with shorts, 500 programmers from all over the world. So maybe your film will actually, don't feel rejected because maybe you've made a good film, it's not there. Okay, we don't have that much space. We cannot include all the good films we saw every year. We have to make choices as well with the space we have. But we try to provide a place where the film can find maybe another route. I think for every good film, there is a route. And it doesn't stop on all the stops. But you have to... I know it's very difficult, but try at least to understand a bit what happened with other films, with other people in your country or from your school, or who are part of these talents, and try to. There are no shortcuts, as this session is called, but you can probably gain time by trying to listen to this feedback and see where your film can find platforms.
And the thing, if I can continue, because one of the first choices that when you have a short film ready, and the festivals is this one place where you can find the market for the end market in a way for your film, whether it be in television or internet, but film festivals is a very good part to promote it, to get exposure for that. But one of the first choices you have is that you have to choose between choosing to send your film festivals to those big festivals, as they are called, like Berlin, Cannes, Venice, Locarno, that always want to have a premiere of your film. So, for instance, you finish your film today, and I think Cannes is still open, maybe?
For about 24 hours.
Yeah.
Quickly get to your hotel room if you want to be in the Cine Fondation.
So you send your film to Cannes, and then you wait for a few months, and you can't send the film to other festivals and say that I will give the film to you if Cannes doesn't take it, because I don't want to tell you where I put these kind of emails that are sent to us from film. We do get them every year that, yeah, we can have our film if we are not selected to Cannes. We don't want to hear that. But if you choose to try to get your film to Cannes and you fail, then you might go for Locarno, then Venice, and then Berlin. And you don't get in, and then your film is already 1 year old. And then you decided that, okay, I didn't make the big ones. Then you go to the short film festivals, because we don't need to have the films, the premiere of your films. You can apply to any number of short film festivals, because there's very rare occasions that you have to have a premiere. And then you have a choice. You have a lot of festivals, and then you really, like you said, that you have to study a little bit. You have to find about what kind of festival it is, because there are differences. There is, let's say, Oberhausen, which is really closing to the let's say, the art world, very edgy, non-narrative. And then Clermont-Ferrand, which is, I think, the festival where you show a very good narrative content in the normal competition, and then this edgy new way of approaching in the Labo. If your film is about issues, you might look Tampere up. And so you learn, but you can send it to a lot of festivals, and if your film is good, like you said, it's very hard to keep a good film down. You will not make all the festivals, probably, but if your film actually has, shows talent, shows creativity, some festival will pick it up. It will be noted by other festivals, because we do check each other's programs, not because we pick up that many films necessarily, but we are interested in how other people work. So some festival will pick it up. It will be noted there by another festival, 2 festivals, and the world sort of opens to you. And it's frustrating because it very often happens that first, let's say, 3, 4, 5 months, it seems to be like a dead end. And then finally you get an invitation somewhere that, congratulations, you are in. And after that, it starts rolling, usually. Especially if you go to, let's say, the established festivals. So it's a little bit of work, and I'm really sorry that, I don't know how you do it in London, but a lot of film schools, they don't talk about film festivals to the students, because I think it should be, there should be something, information about the film festivals, because it is a big part of film school graduation process with your films, that they need to find the place and test them in festivals.
Yeah, the London Film School does talk about film festivals. I should say that although I'm from London, I live in Sydney, and I'm the head of degree programs at ARTE at the film school in Sydney, which also talks about film festivals and has films in this festival. So I just want to now ask Jan for a minute. Okay, this will be revealing. You have to go to the festivals. You have to check out what's out there in the market. There are 2 festivals here which are very prominent, but amongst the bigger festivals which have got short film sidebars, or even the American festivals, of which there are so many, which festivals do you think are interesting? I mean, this is unfair, but I mean, where would you go? Where would you buy a ticket to go and see short films? Well, this would be interesting for everyone to hear.
It's not fair at all. It's actually, the thing is that, there's only 24 hours in a day and 365 days in a year, so, and I do have, like private life and family, not much, but it's just, you can only go to a couple of places every year, and also, this is why I always say to filmmakers that when I speak to Sabine, for example, I respect her time. I don't send her 50 films every month. I send her, 3 films that I think that are only for her every 6 months. Let's say, listen, this is what I've cherry-picked for you. I expect the same from filmmakers that approach me, basically. So I get emails, let's say, I mostly select from festivals, but I also get emails, and I always try to watch a film if I get it, which takes over my colleague. So, but if I get an email, for example, it says, listen, I made 8 films, these are the links. And I'm like, dude, okay, I will, but in like 5 years when I've done the important stuff. Because you're fucking with me. Seriously, like, what I want you to do, I try to be polite, so I say, listen, which one of them is the best? If I like it, I might watch the rest. If it sucks, then sorry. But actually, this is already at the bottom of my pile, because this person obviously did not put himself in my position, himself or herself, usually guys. So it's just a matter of, trying to understand how my life looks like and how many, it's just a matter of mutual respect in that sense. And in terms of festivals, I'm always, for example, I'm always in Berlin because I work with features and shorts. But for example, I used to watch more of the Berlinale shorts, but I've noticed they're getting more and more experimental, and I've been picking up less and less films from there. So now I watch The Generation a lot, because those are very much narrative driven. So the film that we had on the Oscar shortlist this year was a Generation film last year that we picked up. So a couple of years ago even. So for me, it's important that there is a story. There's a strong storytelling to the film. And that sometimes I'm in Locarno, try to be there like every other year. I'm usually in Cannes, but even from Cannes, I watch 6 films from the competition. I pick up one because there's only one for me. Because what I do is, in general, for example, in Clermont is a good example, because they have a video library, and if people like Sabine, they go to a market, they book themselves for a week in the video library, and they screen films, they watch hundreds every day, and you know what's for you and what's not for you. For example, 99% of my activity is TV sales. So if I know that TV has specific slots, specific space for short films, which usually means that they want films up to 15 minutes, let's say the shorter the better. If the film's 27 minutes, I'm not even going to look at it because I know there's no space for me to sell it to. So I'm already, in the video library, I group it by minutes, and so it's like I know what I want, and it's cool. Your film can be great, but if I can't place it anywhere, I don't have time to watch it.
But it's interesting you mentioned Locarno, the Leopards of Tomorrow, which I think is a great section, a great sidebar over time, and then Venice is pretty strong.
Venice is okay, but I never go to Venice, it's too expensive.
But then there's a whole other world, isn't there? I mean, there are a lot of American festivals which are really about very short films, which are really about the kind of narrative idea, but not necessarily the realization, in a way. And quite different festivals.
I try to go to festivals where I can kill two birds with one stone, or even more birds, ideally. So I go here because I can work with my features and the shorts. Same with Locarno, same with Cannes. And then if I only go for shorts, I also go to Bristol for the encounters because they have a very eclectic mix they have an interesting style. But in general, the US festival, it costs money and time to go to a festival, so I prefer to watch a link quite often. I only go to a festival if I can do something there, not just for films.
Okay. So Sabine, just for your contribution in a way to that discussion, so you seeing a lot of material in terms of a good career organization for a film that's getting profile. Could you give us an example of one that you think went to the right festivals in the right way?
You mean when we buy film, no? Because it's not the same when we co-produce. Yes, it's interesting because we have a team. We have a team of about 6 persons, and we try to separate us. One part of the team is in French and the most famous French festival, and the other part is in the German festival. And sometimes we are invited in other festival to be jury or to make a report for the slot. So we go in a lot of festival. And so we see a lot of film. So it's the best way. You make a great job in this festival. We know we will find some film. It's we become a lot of film. As well with the post, but it's not possible to look all these films. So for us, I will see the first way where we find a good film is on festival. And like you say, we will not find the same in Oberhausen as in Clermont-Ferrand, but we try to show it too. No? We have a slot just for Oberhausen, and we will show some film of Oberhausen, and then we try to have other slot with other kind of film, and we mix them as well. And and so the film that we buy sometimes we have saw it in Clermont-Ferrand. I have to remember one, and 2 years after they had so many prizes in the world. So I think they are a long career. That's what's great in short film. It's not like long film where you have a little career. In short film you can turn after, and for television like ARTE, it's not easy because we are not a lot who buy some film, but yes, if other country buy other film, you can have after 2 years your film can exist as well, and that's great.
Thank you. I mean, I also think what Jukka-Pekka said is very important, that the whole question is if you think, okay, well, I have to go to a grade A festival and then a grade B festival and then be in a national showcase like I've made an expensive feature film, you can waste an awful lot of time not knowing what the specialist festivals will do for you. The other thing is, for producers and directors, you have to remember something, which is that somebody invites you to the around the back of somewhere in the middle of Eastern Europe, human rights film days, #1 university screening program behind the station on the left. And then somebody says, well, that is not the Cannes Film Festival, is it? The thing about it is that you may make extraordinary encounters there. You're going to have life experiences, because after all, you're not dead yet. And they're going to put you in a hostel where you're going to meet people who are much more interesting than you will probably meet on the Croisette. So part of the short film festival world is actually about, it's about the internationalization of film culture. I mean, this is why the talent, the Berlinale Talents exists in a way that's, and so you have to put a value on experience as well as a value on some abstract market idea that you have.
But in a way, if I just, to counterbalance that, I think you should try to get into big festivals first, at least for a while. So for example, I've had filmmakers who made really good films, and then Berlin wanted them, but they showed a film at this Swiss village festival somewhere, and it's already online, so everybody knows about it.
And what's the problem?
Well, the problem is that
if the film is good, it will probably travel to 20, 25, 30 festivals.
To have a Berlin on his CV would just be good for his career, and he kind of wasted that because he didn't even ask himself. It's a matter of, it's a choice. You can make a choice, go to the small festival, but I think you should be aware of the consequences. He just wasn't aware of the consequences of missing out on it.
You can end up grabbing a student Oscar, or
yeah, of course. But I think when I go to co-production markets, if you have a project from a guy who had a film in Berlin, he's more likely to have meetings than someone who's done a short film that didn't have.
I think it's right to have a balance. I mean, I think you can do a lot. I mean, the London Film School had a graduation film by Simon Meza-Soto, which won the Palme d'Or for the best short film in Cannes this year, and it fast tracks getting your first feature made and everything else, because there you are, you're in the photograph, you've won the Palme d'Or. It makes a great difference to that filmmaker and the producers around them. So, that's a very extreme example, but I think it's worth using that profile a little bit.
I think these are the examples that are most spoken about, but they're definitely not the majority. There are countless of stories of films that were shown when they got an opportunity maybe in what would be labeled as a small festival, but if it's 10,000 people going there for the audience, maybe it's who is it small for, and then, as Jukka said, the ball starts rolling, and the films end up having great exposure, and it was seen by a lot of people, and in the process you get the reward of having the statuette or the laurels or something in the end, and you were not sitting waiting for the answer of the big name, for the line on the CV. You gave a life to your film.
And the thing is that it's not that I'm not suggesting that you should avoid the big festivals, even though I think that not all big festivals treat short film that well. But the thing is that it's just something that you have to realize. This is one of the choices that you have to make. Nobody's making them for you. But then it's just that it's not bad to actually do the mathematics on that. There's only so many films selected in Cannes every year. There's only so many films in Berlin, and so on. And then you have the choice. So it's just the odds are against, let's say, you on that part. So it's up to you how much you think that your film is a perfect Cannes film or a perfect Berlin film, and then you can try that. You make the decision, and then it doesn't mean that you don't have a chance at other festivals. It just diminishes a little bit the chances to get to short film festivals, which can make your day then later.
Maybe to add to this, maybe just don't leave the question to you. It's a choice you have to make. But okay, if one person tells you your short might be a good short for Cannes or for Berlin, if a second one tells you, if a third tells you you should consider, then probably it's worth making the step to try to get this exposure. But try and get this kind of feedback first.
Yeah, exactly. Also try to do your research in terms of be interested in what has been shown in Cannes or Berlin or Clermont or Tampere in the past 2 years. You know, like lots of those films from previous years. If you look at if you just Google, you know, Tampere competition 2012, 30% of that is going to be on YouTube already because they've grown old or something like that. You know, so you can actually. You can find those films online. You can find the producers, the filmmakers. You know, when I look for a film, let's say I see that the competition at Clermont, it's a list of, I don't know, 30 films or 40, let's say 30 films. I email every single producer on the day that the competition has been announced, and I ask for a link. Why don't you do that? You know, at least 40% will say, yeah, cool. Well, there's another filmmaker somewhere on the other side of the world who's interested in my film. I'm happy to share it with him. You know, it's not like he's going to steal my film, but do your homework, yeah?
Yeah. And the other thing is just for producers, just the thing is while you're developing a feature script, because you've found something which is going to be an important asset to you, which is often a director or a writer-director that you're working with, and they're doing this circuit, use this time in terms of developing your relationship with the talent and everything else, but also use the time for you to understand what's happening out there in the market, because there's so many people who are being abandoned by producers as though they have to be producer-directors when they're in the short film marketplace. And it means that the partnerships between producers and directors don't develop in a creative way, so that's another appeal. Now, we need to open it up to questions, but as I said earlier, the way we're going to open it up to questions, as far as I understand the organization, is that we're going to get out all these cardboard boxes and change the lighting pattern. But before we do that, I want to ask two things. One is whether anyone's got, I've got some great sort of summaries of what you've all said that are takeaways from this session. You know, you need a warrior spirit, you need to be in a partnership, you can have small scale with big ideas, you need to bring back narrative into short filmmaking. We've had lots of interesting headlines. I don't know whether any of you have got something to say that you think you haven't quite had an opportunity to say. If so, it needs to be very short and punchy. But if you do that, then I think what we'll do is we'll organize the session so that everyone can come and meet you. Have you anything you want to add?
Just one thing about the market, maybe, also, and about your position as filmmakers in your own countries. If there is no funds for shorts, if there is no travel money available to you if you're traveling to a festival, get organized as well as filmmakers, as young producers. Lobby your institutions, show them that it's important, because once you're in the spotlight, they will use your name to wave the flag. So do this. It's important. And in terms of outlets for the market, also, I wanted to say that maybe it's not so much, but short films are screened in cinemas in France, either as programs or as single titles, sometimes before a feature. It's less than 2% of the national box office, so it's insignificant, but still, it's nearly 2,000 different films that are shown in a cinema that get a screening. The bad side is that 70% of them get under 500 entries, but there's about 15% of these titles that get between 1 to 10,000 entries. If you add these numbers to the audience that come at festivals, in our festival it's 160,000 admissions, so if you have a film in the competition, that means probably your film has been seen by 5, 6, 10,000 people. It's much more than some feature films that are released in cinemas and disappear after 1 week of no one sitting to watch the films. So these are weapons that can be used as well.
Thank you, Laurent.
I just want to say, don't make short films to make money. Just... or to become rich. This will never happen.
Exactly. Yeah. So okay, good. That's good.
When you are, for instance, when you are here and you talk with people, for instance, from festivals, from people who have been in the game for quite a long time, and you have a really stupid question you are afraid to ask, do ask that, because those questions, which are the most simple ones, they are the best ones, and just be brave and do that, and use festivals as they should be used, places to meet and get feedback on your films, on your ideas, and everything. Because for me, I think films in film festivals is about 50% of the whole content, and the other 60% is the meeting of people.
Yes, thank you. I like that. Sabine.
I don't know what I want to say. For me, the short film is a good idea, but it's at first a good writing, écriture, it's right?
Good script,
writing.
yeah.
And when you say go on the festival and show your film, when you write it, do it, we become a lot of script, and we see a lot of script who are not read from other people. Please give it to a lot of people to have a good writing. And when it's very strong, when the writing is very strong, your film could be good. That's my advice.
All right. Now, I said at the beginning that in the world of short films, there's a very small number of people that are sophisticated, experienced, committed, passionate, and understand everything that's going on in the world, and they're all in the room with you. And I think by now you probably agree with me, so I'd like you to all thank these people for giving their time very much. And now I think we're going to give you an opportunity to follow up your questions and to meet them, because we're going to get all of these cardboard boxes out, and I think the organization is going to bring out some mineral water, and we're going to have this kind of teach-in style of Q&A. So thank you very much indeed.